This weekend was the convention for the Tea Party movement. The movement's lack of political direction was personified by their choice of keynote speaker, failed vice presidential candidate, and newly appointed patron saint of Fox News, Sarah Palin. Rumors of Ms. Palin's canceling on the event circulated right up until the very last minute. Apparently, she couldn't find somebody to sit home on her back porch and watch out for those Russians. This is One Fellow's Opinion for Tuesday, February 9th, 2010. Now, I'll have more to say about Sarah Palin in a minute. There is so much to say about Sarah Palin. But I've got to start with the teabagging movement. Tea Party. Whatever. They are a justifiably disgruntled grassroots movement calling for fiscal responsibility, but providing no real solutions. Rather than a cohesive group unified under a single banner, they appear to pride themselves on being a leaderless collection of small groups with similar guiding principles and no defined structure or clear ideology. That sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? One of the most striking things about the Tea Party movement is this assertion they have that their views cross party lines. Now, my research is far from exhaustive, but I haven't seen anybody in the news being interviewed from the Tea Party that is affiliated with the Democratic Party or that has any liberal-leaning views. So when they say cross-party lines, perhaps they're talking about the Right to Life Party, the Labor, or the American Nazi parties. More likely, I think that what we're seeing here is a mobilization among rank-and-file Republicans who see the schism that exists between themselves as hard-working average Americans and the wealthy elitists who basically make up the leadership of the Republican Party. And Sarah Palin's presence as the keynote speaker in this convention certainly points in that direction. I could rant for hours about the half-truths and gross exaggerations in Ms. Palin's speech, but I'd like to hone in on what I feel is the most poignant example of her Saturday morning cartoon-like views of American politics. She blasted President Obama for his stance on national security, a criticism that was shared by many of Ms. Palin's more moderate conservative brethren following his State of the Union address. Now that operations have shifted, or at least the focus has somewhat shifted toward Afghanistan, where I personally thought they belonged all along, I'm less concerned about that one, but it's a perfectly valid point, and I can give her and conservatives in general more credit for that. To drive her point home, little Sarah Homemaker zeroed in on the guy who attempted to blow up the plane on Christmas Day and succeeded only in barbecuing his own nutsack. Ms. Palin pointed out that the bomber was only questioned for 90 minutes before he was read his Miranda rights. With an appalled air, Ms. Palin said that Americans would have liked more questions to have been answered before he was allowed to lawyer up. And these people shouldn't be allowed to invoke our rights after attacking us. Get Jack Bauer in there to kick that guy's ass around a little. He'll get some answers. This is a classic Palinistic oversimplification of a complex situation into a cops and robbers fable suitable for primetime television. As far as allowing him to lawyer up, we aren't making this shit up. It's a part of our nation's history, the nation that Ms. Palin claims to love so much. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. We believe that with our mere existence comes certain rights. It doesn't say anything about adhering to a certain set of beliefs or values. In fact, the colonists who wrote these words were declaring their independence from just such an oppressive government at the time. But why do we really care? These people are bad people, and the crimes they've committed are more excessive than any we've experienced. Why not make exceptions for bad people? Well, as history has shown us time and time again with the Spanish Inquisition and the Salem witch trials, the McCarthy era, and the Patriot Act wiretapping, it's the unfettered power of the authority figure acting in the name of common decency or public safety that causes far more damage to freedom and more bloodshed than the lunatic fringe ever does. If you choose to live in a society that has rule of law, that law and the rights and privileges that it affords applies to everyone, even people who are accused of the most heinous crimes, because our system of justice establishes that people are innocent until proven guilty. and justice can still be served in cases where the rights of criminals are respected, as it was in the case of the Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh, convicted terrorist and nutcase who was born right here in the good old US of A. Not all terrorists are trained in Yemen and Pakistan. Of course, that's just my opinion.